it's appropriate to close with a retrospective, to place the treatment of this subject in the historical context of how science has advanced. At the core of the debate surrounding climate is a struggle between scientific rigor, which is accountable to nature, versus pseudoscience, which is not. Distinguishing the two isn't brain surgery. One sphere excludes evidence by declaring its conclusions are beyond question. The science is settled. Its advocates know this because they took a vote. The other sphere relies on reason, continually testing its understanding against new evidence. Accordingly, it holds that science is never settled. The struggle between these opposing interests has happened before. One of the benefits of modern civilization is medical science. If you become ill, you have every expectation of competent treatment by a practitioner who operates in the reality of human physiology. It wasn't always so. Early medical treatment was a cross between superstition and pseudoscience. If illness didn't kill you, the cure likely would. The tools of the trade would make a trip to the dentist look inviting. And of course, the procedures were conducted before the advent of anesthesia. They relied upon the theory of the Roman physician Claudius Galenus, or simply Galen. Galen's theory postulated that well-being was controlled by 4 bodily fluids, or humors, one of which was blood. In Galen's theory, blood motion was one way. Blood was continually produced by the liver, then transmitted by the heart to the rest of the body, where it was consumed. An imbalance of the humors produced illness. From this belief sprang the practice of bloodletting. Removing blood would rebalance the humors, supported by the belief that blood was continually replenished by the liver. So influential was Galen's theory that it guided medical treatment for nearly 2,000 years. Enter William Harvey. Harvey had conducted extensive dissections which revealed the mechanics of blood. On Galen's theory, Harvey was suspicious, dare I say, skeptical. In light of his observations, he was increasingly confronted with the obvious. To demonstrate it, Harvey performed a fundamental calculation. From dissections, he knew the volume of the heart. He knew also the pumping cadence, the number of beats per minute. Combining the two determined the volume of blood, which under Galen's theory would have to be produced each day. Harvey knew he'd be bucking the establishment, so he intentionally lowballed the calculation. He chose values so low that the true blood volume could be only greater. Harvey's calculations showed that Galen's theory would require a daily production of blood exceeding 1/4 ton, more than a 55-gallon drum. To produce this blood, that's how much a human would have to consume in one day. Galen's theory went the way of the dodo. As we now take for granted, blood is not consumed, but recirculated. Despite Harvey's clear invalidation, Galen's theory continued to be practiced for nearly 200 years. Among its victims, George Washington. To treat a throat infection, Washington's physicians drained his blood, 80% of it. 72 hours later, Washington was dead. After being invalidated, why did Galen's theory continue to be practiced? The answer is simple. An enterprise will never voluntarily relinquish that upon which it thrives. George Washington was triumphant over the might of the British Empire. He was destroyed by the incompetence of pseudoscience. Harvey's findings vitiated the foundation of medical practice, a belief that had prevailed for nearly 2,000 years. Harvey described the reaction to his findings as an uproar. To his critics, Harvey responded as follows: I profess to learn and teach anatomy not from the tenets of philosophers, but from the fabric of nature. For hundreds of years, that has been the objective of science: to understand nature. Contrasting fundamentally is the new environmental science. Climate science moderna, with the answer predetermined by government bureaucracy under the aegis of the UN. Its objective has become an exercise in social engineering. To predict and control the undetectable. Had resources been invested to better understand this complex system, the fallacy might have been discovered sooner.